talking about is Beer City Bruiser, and you're listening to the ECWF podcast. Crack open a beer and enjoy.
Get the F out.
All right, welcome to episode number 23 of the ECWF podcast. We will not get the F out, we put the F back in. I'm your host, Sean Bicking, coming to you from the Electric City, Scranton, Pennsylvania. And my guest on this episode was the Beer City Bruiser, ROH superstar Matt Winchester. We talk Bruiser Brody, training with Harley Race, face paint, his tattoos, Bruce City Wrestling, Dr. Tom telling him he was too fat and how that motivated him. Of course, we talk a lot of ROH, and for good reason. We talk his relationship with Steve Corino going back 12 years, teaming with Silas Young in ROH, all the people he's fought in ROH, teaming with Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens now. We talk Michael Hayes. We get another gem of a Terry Funk story. We talk about being a double for Bray Wyatt in the WWE. We talk about making the PWI 500, him being a trainer, and a lot more. So sit back, crack a cold one. Beer City Bruiser. Enjoy. All right, back on our podcast here live with the Beer City Bruiser, Matt Winchester, in Wisconsin, correct?
Yep, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, and you're originally, that's not where you're originally from though, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from a town called Waukesha, Wisconsin, which is right outside of Milwaukee. It's about 25 minutes away from there.
So I'd imagine a big cheesehead.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Nice. Okay.
I love the Packers. I love the Brewers. You know, they're my teams.
Yeah. Man, I'm a Giants fan, so I can't really talk too much trash. But, all right, so this crazy world of wrestling, how long you been in it for?
I'm going on my 16th year.
16, wow. So right around the Attitude Era, like right at the tail end of that, right? You kind of broke in?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Oh, I that's what I wanted to say. I read July 21st. Is that your birthday?
Yep, that's my birthday.
Yes, you share the same, my son, same date as my son.
What? Well, it's a good day.
Yeah.
Evan Williams was born on that day, too.
Oh, nice. Yes, he was actually like 2 weeks early, so he was supposed to be born on September 11th, and we were kind of, we're kind of just trying to stay away from that day, but all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said 16 years, and I listened to a bunch of other podcasts you already did, so like I said, I know your story a little bit. Some of your inspirations getting into it, though, were like Bruiser Brody and the Crusher.
Yep, and Brody was actually my first time ever seeing wrestling. The match that really got me hooked on wrestling was Bruiser Brody against Stan Hansen.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and it was hard hitting. There was sweat and blood everywhere, and it just, as a 7-year-old kid, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And when Brody walked past me, he was so big. I was just enthralled with him.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you saw that in person or on TV?
I saw it in person.
Oh, wow.
It was at a fair. Yeah, my uncle took me to a fair, and it was there.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
After that, I started watching anything I could that had wrestling,
Right. Was there any other sports, like, growing up?
Yeah, I played football. I played football from pretty much 8th grade all the way into college. I also played some baseball, and I was on the swim team in high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any thought of, you played football for a while, was there any thought of maybe taking that a step further?
Yeah, I was going to see where it took me, but in college I ended up having a career-ending injury. I broke a bone in my wrist where all the tendons and ligaments attached at the navicular bone, otherwise known as the scaphoid bone. And when I fractured that, I had to have surgery and stuff where they had to take a piece of my hip and put it in place of that bone.
Oh, wow.
So that pretty much ended my football career. But
that was why you were still in college?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
That was in college. I was one of 3 freshmen to start on the college varsity team. And I ended up missing the last 3 games of the season, 3 or 4 games of the season because of the injury. But I still got All-American. I still made the All-American team and stuff like that.
Nice.
But the injury pretty much ended my football career.
Yeah.
That was it. So.
Yeah. Did you kind of lose your passion, like being away from it for a while? Like being hurt?
I still watch football. I got real bitter towards it for a while.
Right.
I got real angry. Like, how could this happen to me type thing. Everything was going so good. And my family's a football family. So my dad, in fact, he owned his own professional women's football team for a while.
Oh, wow.
So I actually, just a couple of years ago, went back and helped coach his team. And, I kind of lit a fire where I got into watching it again.
Right.
Enjoying it.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. Okay. So I also read that you trained with Harley Race and Trevor Adonis. But before that, you almost went to Steel Domain in Chicago, where CM Punk and Colt Cabana came out of?
Yep. In fact, when I talked to a guy named Jeff Bennett, who was a neighbor of a friend of mine, he gave me a list of numbers to call, and the first number on there was Steel Domain. And when I called, they were in the process of shutting the school down, so I didn't really get to talk to anybody. So the next name on the list was Trevor Adonis, and that's how I got into it.
Okay. Now, how soon after like the football career ended did the professional wrestling training start?
It took about 4 years.
Oh, okay.
It was 97 when I got done playing football, and I started 2000, so 3 years.
Okay. And
but like I said, I've always watched wrestling, and I goof off with my friends and stuff like that, and that's how a guy noticed me. He's like, well, you really like this wrestling thing. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, here, let me introduce you to a guy I live next door to who is a professional wrestler. I was like, all right. And it opened my eyes to a whole new world.
So, what, there's that, 3-year period. What was going on then?
What's that? I had a daughter. My daughter is now 19. Her name is Paige. She was born, so I was trying to be a dad.
Okay.
I got some full-time jobs. I had to drop out of school, college, and because I couldn't afford it after they took my grants away from not being able to play football.
Yeah.
And so I ended up working a couple full-time jobs and a part-time job, and then just raising her the best I could.
Right. That damn real life thing creeps up.
Yeah, real life came in.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I started wrestling, my son was born, and that's when I was, I'm like, I'm going to give this wrestling thing a full-born try, and now wrestling's my job and my career, and I love it.
Right. So you do it full-time?
Yep.
Nice.
I'm on the road every weekend. In fact, I just got done with a 3-day tour with Ring of Honor.
Yes.
We're in St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Columbus, Ohio. And it was, that just got done. And then next weekend, I'm with Ring of Honor again in Minnesota and Milwaukee. And then there's a school up here in Milwaukee called the Thumper's Den, run by Frankie DeFalco. And I'm the head trainer there. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm there teaching the next generation of wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had Frankie on last week, and he put you over big time. So he was kind of hoping you did the same.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. He runs a company called Bruiser Wrestling that I wrestle for when I'm not on the road to Ring of Honor, and it's one of the best independent companies I work for. He runs it real professional. He's one of those promoters that actually does it right, where he promotes the shows and has sponsors and makes sure he gets pays the boys and drunk people. And then the school, when he started the school and asked me to be a head trainer, he's like, well, I want these kids to learn the right way.
Yeah.
So I think you need to do it, and we have once we have about 10 students, and they're all coming along great. Actually, a couple of them are getting ready to debut. Their first match is only after a couple months of training, so we're doing something right.
Yeah, he was saying that last week when I talked to him, like, it's really going good, and I asked him, like, even, like, starting out, like, Bruce City Wrestling, I said, did you have any like, problems with it being an upstart company? He said, no, I never ended any kind of problems like that, like, no struggles early on, and I thought,
Yeah, and now it's a really well-oiled machine. He's been around for a few years, and we got great talent in that locker room. A lot of future stars coming through the Bruce City locker room, and there's a lot of guys that have come and gone and have moved on, to bigger things like Ring of Honor and WWE and whatnot.
Yeah. So when you're at the school, you said like during the week and stuff, do you kind of go back to your training almost, like, and try, kind of apply what you were taught, like, that same way?
Yep. I go back and teach, and I've done enough camps and stuff throughout my career where I take little things that I've learned here and there from like when I was down by Harley's, they had Go Shiozaki from Noah. He lived over there for about 2 years, so we got to do a lot of, like, drills that they do in Japan. So I incorporate those in the training. Stuff I learned down by Harley, stuff I learned through Trevor, and just stuff I've seen throughout my career that I know could help these kids in the future and be the best wrestlers that they can possibly be.
Right.
So it's a real. I mean, it's tough. It's tough training, but you give me 110%, I guarantee you're going to learn something and become a great wrestler.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you're, like, do you get, like, satisfaction out of, like you said, like, the next generation? And because when I was talking to Frankie, he said, like, a lot of people quit early on, they just can't hack it, and they just think this is easy or this is fake stuff. But do you get, like, a sort of satisfaction from seeing, like, somebody stick with it and eventually debuting?
Yeah, actually I do. The only way the wrestling world is going to live on is through future generations. Like, Trevor took a chance on me. I was just a fat kid from a small town in Wisconsin. he took a chance on me, and look where I am now. And, you can go all the way back throughout time. Somebody at some point in time took a chance with, like, a Ric Flair and a Hulk Hogan. Someone took a chance with a Stone Cold. And I look at it as the future of wrestling is through these students. So if they're taught the right way and they do, they apply their craft and learn, the wrestling business is going to survive. So when I see, it is a proud moment because I see what the trial and tribulations these guys go through. I know what I put them through. I know the injuries, I know the blow up drills and the hours they spent watching tape and whatnot. So when they go out there and they have a first match and when they come through, I'm very proud. Very, very proud, and I'm very happy. Like, there's a couple of our students have done ring crew for Ring of Honor, and when I'm at the Ring of Honor shows, our tech guys are always coming up. Hey man, your students coming by, they were great to work with. They listened and they did everything they're supposed to do. Can you bring them back and all that? And that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
That means that me as a teacher, I'm teaching them the right way, where they're earning that respect, really early on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that word, respect. Like, that's.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into all the ROH stuff, I wanted to go back a little bit. When you first started, maybe not when you first started, but you were wrestling under a different name.
Yep, I was Dinty Moore.
Yeah,
for the first, 10 years of my career.
Where does that come from?
It was kind of like it's a joke. Where my first gimmick, they're throwing around ideas like, oh, you should be a lumberjack. And I'm a green rookie kid, so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be a lumberjack. I don't care. I just want to wrestle. And they're like, oh, we got to think about lumberjacks eat. We threw around like flapjack and pancakes. And somebody says, well, what about Dinty Moore beef stew? They eat that. All right, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I took the name. I was a lumberjack for the first couple of years, and then I just started getting out of being a lumberjack and forming more of my own character.
Yeah, I saw there was a picture of the can of beef stew you had on. And
Yeah.
Was there any kind of like legal repercussions from that ever?
No, I made sure I spelled it differently, and I actually found out because I spelled it different. There's actually like an author named that.
Oh wow!
And he spelled it the way I did. And then a few years into my career, he actually sent me an email, saying how cool it is and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, does the guy really name this? Like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, that was cool. And I saw
when I moved back from Harley's, I wanted to be taken a little more seriously, and that's why I decided to change my name. Back to my name, which is Matt Winchester, and then I developed the Bruiser character, and it's just taken off.
Yeah. I saw another picture you were wearing face paint for a little bit.
Yep. When we were down at Harley's, I teamed with a guy named Brandon Tatum, and we were actually backstage at a TNA show, and Harley's wife, BJ, was there, and Sting and Raven were talking. And Sting had his face paint on, and then Raven was doing that thing where he painted like the ankh over his eye.
Mm-hmm.
And BJ, just out of the blue, she goes, "How come none of our students paint their face?" And Brandon goes, "Well, I have a background in theater makeup. I could design something for Matt and I." And she's like, "Yeah." So we developed the face paint, and Harley loved it. So we were going as the Doom Slayers.
Okay.
And we'd paint our face and stuff. And then when he left Harley's, I started teaming with another guy, Brian Breaker. And that's when I'd like play around with the face paint, like do half face paint. And then when I moved back home, I was just sick of putting the face paint. Not doing it all together.
Yeah, I was going to say, at first you didn't sound too thrilled about it because it wasn't your idea at first.
Yeah, like, I really wasn't. Then the face paint was really cool, so I was all on board. And then, it just got to be a hassle because, every month I have to go buy new paint.
Yeah.
And then, you get to a show, and, like, if there's an autograph signing, I got to get there earlier than usual. It's like, go put the paint on. And it was just a hassle.
Yeah. What kind were you using? Because I talked to a couple different guys, and they use, like, acrylic and sometimes, like, the sweat. You know what I mean? What did you use?
We used acrylic.
Okay.
And the reason being is, like, when you sweat, it peels off. It doesn't,
right.
Like grease paint will, like, rub off and get over everything. Where with acrylic, it just peels off and chips. So we ended up using acrylic paint.
You knew that from the start, though?
Yep.
Okay.
Like I said, the guy that created the design and stuff.
Yeah, he had
a theater and arts major, so he knew all about how to look good on stage and stuff.
Right. I don't know what it is, like, when I was, like, a little kid growing up and stuff, like, face paint and, like, masked wrestlers, like, were my thing for some reason.
Well, I remember I was in love with Sting and I was in love with Ultimate Warrior.
Yep, same. So. Yeah, Road Warriors. That just, for whatever reason, that just stuck with me.
Yeah, it's different, so it sticks out there.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about, you have a bunch of different tattoos now.
Uh-huh.
What are some of them? I saw the on your arms. I didn't see any other ones. Can you just kind of explain what they are and the meaning behind them?
Yeah, I got the tribal artwork on my arm, in my right forearm. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I had the guy take the Rebel logo and kind of alter it a little bit, and then he designed some tribal around it. And then there's a guy named Matt Binder up in Oshkosh. And I said, "Hey man, I want to get a full arm piece based around this." So he kind of freehanded on my arm, and that's the big tribal thing.
Oh, okay.
On my right arm.
Mm-hmm.
On my left arm, I have a phoenix coming out of the yin yang. That was I thought it was really cool, so I got it. I got a rose on my left forearm. On my middle finger on left hand, I got a sugar skull.
Nice.
When my wife and I got married, we have our wedding rings and stuff, and we wanted to get tattoos, but we didn't want to do that where you put each other's name on your body and stuff like that, because that's just a curse. So we both ended up falling in love with the sugar skulls, and we put them on our middle fingers. That way it's not on a ring finger, so if God forbid something happens with our relationship, it's still just it's just a cool tattoo.
Yeah. Now, I know with finger tattoos, like, they don't take the first time, right? Like, you have to kind of do it 2 or 3 times over?
No, with mine, it actually, Matt got it in there pretty good, so I haven't had to have it touched up or anything. I've heard that a lot about finger tattoos. But ours, he did such a good job that it's not even faded. You can still see, and we've had it for, God, 6 years now.
Oh, okay.
So
now that's one of the most painful places too, right?
Actually, for me, no, it wasn't. No? The one that really hurt me was on my tribal arm, down towards my elbow. That really hurt. And then I got one on my wrist that says Filthy Few, and towards the joint that kind of hurt.
Okay.
And with the Filthy Few is just a bunch of guys in wrestling that I used to travel with. You can call ourselves the Filthy Few.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. You mentioned Brew City Wrestling and Frankie DeFalco before. But that's where the Beer City Bruiser name started, right?
Kind of. What happened, the way it was formed was when I got back from Harley's, I changed my name, back to Matt Winchester. And I was just trying to, like everybody, when I got back, all the local independents kind of put their championship belts on me.
Can't complain about that.
Which was weird. But there was this local guy named Nick Colucci, and he was kind of floundering around in the mid-card, and he wasn't really happy and stuff. And he was one of the guys I used to travel with and stuff. And he goes, you know what, we're traveling everywhere. We should probably team. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm all about that. And we formed a tag team and stuff. And as we were going along, he's like, you know what, let's make this serious. Let's come up with a gimmick, And I says, well, all we pretty much do is drink beer and fight. That's what we do. And everyone says, if you want to do a gimmick, do it U times 10. And that's when we came up with the name, the Beer City Bruiser, because that's all we really do is drink beer and fight.
Right.
She later on, we had some problems and stuff like that, personal stuff, so we had to leave, and I just kept the name, and Ring of Honor loved it. And they're like, we're just going to call you the Beer City Bruiser. I'm like, yeah, sure. That's perfect.
Now, when you guys were doing the gimmick though, you were legit bringing beer to the ring and drinking the beer coming down, right?
Yep. Yeah. We go to the ring with beer, and we do beer bashes. And now that I'm in Ring of Honor, I have a keg of beer that I carry to the ring with me.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because I saw there was different sizes to the kegs. Some were full size, and then other were little smaller.
Yeah. We did, when Silas and I, in Ring of Honor, we had Silas take control of the boys, and Dalton's boys, and we were trying to teach them to be men. So I'd make them carry my keg out, which is a little quarter barrel, and then I came out with a big full-size keg just to show them,
Nice.
Come on, because both of them couldn't lift the little keg. So I come out rubbing in their face, carrying the big keg, just to kind of be come on, these are real men.
Now, does that kind of get to be a pain in the ass, though? Because they're not light.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I have no problems with it. It keeps me in shape.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just thought maybe that's why you switched sizes though, because there was kind of getting to be a pain.
Travel's the reason I switched sizes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
To get the smaller one in the trunk of a car.
Sounds like a true frat boy right there.
Yep. And then I have one that stays on the Ring of Honor ring truck, because I can't fly with it. So they have the one on the ring truck, and then I have one that I put in the trunk of my car, so I can drive with it.
Okay. I read too that you did some work with the NWA earlier on.
Yep. Yeah, I was NWA Wisconsin champion, NWA Heritage champion. I was NWA Wisconsin Tag Team Champions a couple times.
Nice.
I wrestled everywhere for the NWA, which was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of independent companies using the NWA banner. Mm-hmm. So it was cool getting that national exposure.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people that kind of done NWA affiliates and stuff, and a lot of people are surprised that the NWA is still around, and it's not like that, but it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's not what it used to be, but it's its own kind of creature. It's a good exposure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw another picture you had something with a knee injury, and you were in the hospital.
Yeah. Yep. I tore my ACL on my left knee, and I ended up having surgery for it, and I was supposed to be out for 9 months. I came back after 3.
Holy
shit. It was a tear. So,
well,
I tore it in a match. I shot a guy off and gave him a big boot, and the ring bone stopped in my knee. hyperextended, and it tore my ACL.
How long ago was that?
Let's see, that was about 3 years ago, I believe.
Oh, okay.
2013. Yeah, it was 2013.
Yeah.
So,
And so the doctors told you 9 months, though?
yeah, they said it'd be a 9-month recovery time. And I said, haha, I'll be back before that. And I was gone for 3. Because in 2010, I tore my left tricep muscle completely off the bone. And they told me it was a year recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I was back after, I want to say 5 months. Or 6 months.
Still, yeah.
With the tricep.
That's crazy. What are you, like a mutant or something?
What's that?
Are you a mutant? Are you an alien?
No, I just followed doctor's instructions and I pushed myself. I'd rehab twice a day instead of just the one time. I was in the gym a lot, and I pushed myself to heal, you know, and I'm always one of those guys where if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy, though.
Yeah, and with wrestling being my job, you know, you don't get paid to sit on the shelf.
True.
It was work hard and make sure I'm okay and do what I can do to get back in so I can make money.
Shit, I mean, still, that's like you're like a cyborg. That should be your new nickname.
my son used to say I was a cyborg zombie because they used a cadaver tendon in my tricep and then they put a screw through. And then in my knee, I got the screw holding the ACL. And so he always calls me a cyborg zombie.
Yeah. I was gonna say something like a bionic man too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just creating new nicknames for you here. Okay. I saw a couple other pictures too. You've been known to bleed quite a bit in your matches. Was that earlier on, or is that still today?
That was pretty much early on.
Yeah.
I did some of the hardcore King of the Death matches stuff, and I've bled a couple times in cage matches and stuff like that. But nowadays, there's so much stuff in blood.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
HIPAA
like,
laws
really
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try not to bleed. If I don't have to bleed, I'm not going to bleed.
Yeah.
There's too much. You don't know nowadays.
Right. Exactly. That's true. Yeah.
So unless it calls for it, I really don't want to. I mean, I've been busted open and stuff.
The hard way?
In matches. Yeah. And, you know, that you can't prevent.
Right.
But if I don't have to bleed, I'm not going to.
Right. Now, you mentioned King of the Death matches, though. That's like a tournament, right?
Yeah, they used to have, back in the 2000s, Ultraviolence was in, so they had King of the Death matches and Hardcore Cup, I think it's called, where they do gimmick matches like light tubes and chairs.
So how does something like that work though? Like each round gets like more violent, or?
Yeah, like they start the first round. Like I haven't done it in so long, but like the first round might just be like barbed wire. In the second round, or another match might just be like thumbtacks.
Mm-hmm.
Then like when you get to the next round, it's like okay, they put light tubes and barbed wire in there, and then when you get to the last round, it's like the no rope barbed wire light tubes hanging from it type thing. Yeah, it gets more and more gruesome as the tournament goes on. I never made it past the first round.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, like there's ultra-violent wrestlers that are really nice guys, and that's how they make their living, and bless them. But that's not for me.
Yeah. I talked to a couple of people. One of them, Stockade. I don't know if you know him.
No, I've never met him. I've heard of him.
But yeah, him and Matt Tremont, they do that. They did that stuff, and I asked him about because once you start doing that kind of matches, you kind of get pigeonholed into you're just a hardcore guy. But then they get stuck in that, and they kind of we could wrestle too, but we don't care. Like we want to see you light bulbs and all that stuff. You said.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those guys that are great wrestlers. A lot of those guys are great guys too. It's just. They make more money doing the ultra-violent,
Yeah.
To each his own,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying it's right, but...
Did you see that recent video that just, I think it was yesterday or the day before, with Zandig jumping off the roof, taking that bump on the back of the truck? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. They showed that, I mean, hey, again, that's their cup of tea, cool, it's not mine,
Yeah. I have I don't know if you know who Thunder Rosa is from Lucha Underground.
Yep.
I have her on tomorrow for the podcast, and she has to fight Joey Janela that took the bump. So she's like, "This is what I have to look forward to."
I hope she doesn't have to get thrown off the
Yeah,
ropes.
yeah.
She's a very nice girl.
Yeah. I was like, I feel bad. I doubt that she'll have to do anything like that, like crazy hardcore. But I mean, that's what she sees, and she's like, "Uh oh."
Yeah, But like I said, if those guys are making their money and they're doing that, good for them. Like
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion on the matter. I just know I don't do it.
I gotcha. Yeah. Now you had maybe a WWE tryout or a camp or something, and I saw or I heard Dr. Tom called you too fat at the time.
Yeah, that was years ago. I did a couple things and.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to. There's no set order for this. I just have a bunch of stuff written down and kind of just jump all over the place. So I'm sorry if it's not like.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
It actually motivated me. He said that I'd never be in the WWE because I was too fat. So I ended up dropping a lot of weight and changing my look and stuff. And I actually got my first thing for Raw. I did was an extra on when Simon Dean made his debut.
Mm-hmm.
He choked me out, and it kind of motivated me. And I ended up doing extra work and stuff for a few years for WWE.
Yeah, and he wasn't there then, right? Because you said Tommy Dreamer kind of.
Yep, Dreamer. He's the one that got me my stuff and my extra stuff, and then later on, Simon Dean he took over. But it always stuck in my head what Dr. Tom said. So it always pushed me to.
Yeah.
I might be a big guy, but I'm going to be in shape, and I'm going to show them that even though I'm a big guy, I can do this. And
right.
Now I'm known as a big guy that's very agile and
absolutely
can do different things. And you know what I mean? I took that insult and that negative, and I turned it into a positive.
Yeah.
Because it bugged me for a while, but then I live by the philosophy, just take life flow like water, and there's no such thing as no. If there's a door in front of you, kick it open. If you get shown an opportunity, show them a reason why they need you.
Right.
So I took that as I'm going to go out and I'm going to get, I'm not a bodybuilder in shape, but I can get in a ring and I can go, 30 minutes if I have to, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And
like you said, it motivated you, but when he first said that, was it kind of shock? Did I just hear that right? Or
yeah, it upset me
because everything I heard about Dr. Tom, from listening to different people who worked under him and worked with them, there was nothing but good things to say about him. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything, but he did make that comment to you, so that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it sucked, and like I said, I took a day and I always another philosophy I live by is take a day to soak it in, and then you just pick yourself up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and move on. So yeah, I sulked for a little bit, and then I thought about it. I'm like, what? I'm gonna prove this guy wrong. He says no, and I can't do it. And so if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna do everything in my power to do whatever it is people say I can't do.
Absolutely. Was that the your first tryout with them or first camp with them?
Yeah, I did a camp with him and stuff like that, and it wasn't for WWE.
Okay.
But it was with him, and I ended up sending in tapes and stuff to him, and that's when he told me. So, like I said, that just motivated me. So then when I did get to WWE, and I got them to look at me. They ended up using me as an extra a couple other times. And in fact, last July I was the fake Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
That came out got much by Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I was gonna.
You know what I mean?
I was gonna ask you about that later on, but yeah, because
Yeah, I ended up, like I said, I've done extra work a bunch. I've had matches for WWE, and I've been security, and I've been, like I said, they called me up for the fake Bray Wyatt thing, and I did that. And it just motivated me,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you even see even to say you're a bigger guy, but you look at a Kevin Owens or even a Bray Wyatt, they're not the best in shape guys, but they could go and you know what I mean, so.
Yep, and that's what it's all about, entertaining the fans, and that's what I do.
Yeah. Okay, so currently you are an ROH, and is that a full-time contract under contract with them?
I'm just kind of making this video.
Yeah, I'm full time with them. Silas Young and I are a tag team for them. I've been on TV for them. I was in the 2015 Top Prospect Tournament. I made it to the semifinals in that, and then just over the last year and a half, 2 years, it's just been they put me with Silas, and him and I have been having great tag matches.
Right.
And I've been on pretty much all their shows, and I'm booked for a long time with them. And
it was an ROH tryout camp that eventually led you to the Top Prospect Tournament, right?
Yep. It was in October of 2014, and I was kind of at a crossroads myself, where I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Like, I've been busting my butt for so long, but I'm not really making money. I'm making ends meet, but I'm not making money.
Right.
And the tryout camp came up, and Steve Carino actually says, you should really do this. They'll love you. And Kevin Steen told me that, and then Rhino told me, and Carino kind of pushed me to that. He's like, come on, man, you'll do great.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up paying for it. I paid the $300 to go do the camp, and over the 2 days, I learned so much, because they have, every time I do Ring of Honor, I learn, because the wrestlers that are there, those are literally the best wrestlers on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did the camp, I went in with, all right, I'm going to give them, I'm going to do everything I possibly can. I'm going to kick this door open, and if it doesn't work, then guess what? I'll slow down.
Right.
And I ended up having a fantastic camp, and they told me, we're going to put you in the Top Prospect Tournament. And I went there, and like I said, I went to the semifinals, and everything since then has just been positive for me.
Right.
I've learned from guys like Christopher Daniels, Delirious, Steve Carino, Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles, the Young Bucks, and you just, Roddy Strong. And I just sit back and I listen to their advice, and I apply their advice to my matches, and I've been having great matches with them, and
right.
I signed on with them, and now it's been a great ride.
Yeah. Now, knowing how well that went, do you wish you would have went to the camp earlier on in your career though?
Yeah, no. I think everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And I think it was just because where I was mentally, I think it was time for me to do it when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I do recommend anybody that wants to get a look at Ring of Honor. The only way to do it is a tryout camp, and I don't care where you're at in your career, go do it, because they will tell you what you need to work on. They don't hold anything back.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they have the best wrestlers on the planet on their roster.
Yeah.
So doing the tryout camp, not only is it a tryout, but it's also a camp where you can learn, and they'll be honest, whether it be your gear or your ring work or your body, they'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if there's a guy that's 2 to 3 years in, and they don't necessarily put him on the roster, you're still going to learn something, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to apply that. So eventually, somewhere down the road, you'll be able to get there.
Right. Okay. You mentioned Steve Carino a little bit. Do you want to talk about your relationship with him over the years?
Yeah, he's actually I consider him a mentor. He's a really good friend of mine, but he's a mentor also. I met him at Bruiser City Wrestling's
Mm-hmm.
second anniversary show, where the main event was me versus him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 14 years ago, I think. And we exchanged numbers, and ever since then, I have just annoyed him. Asking him advice, and he's helped me so much. Every time I'm with him, it's under the learning tree, and hey, this is a really good way to get people angry at you, or if you're the big baby face, you should try this. And if I have ideas, I run it past him. And now that I'm on the road with Ring of Honor and stuff, he's there, and I can, after my match, say, Steve, what you think? What advice can you give me? Hey, I got to do this promo. What advice do you got for me? And he's just mentored me so much through my career, and I owe him a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such a great mind for wrestling. He is so good. I have nothing but good things to say about him.
Right, definitely. I did. I don't know if you still. Well, obviously, you talk to him on a daily basis. I reached out to him for the podcast, and he told me that he's not allowed to do any that aren't affiliated with ROH, and he gave me the email to somebody I could get in contact with. So I'm waiting to hear back. So maybe if you could put in a good word, maybe.
Yeah, I'll put in a good word. Yeah, you gotta with the upper guys, you gotta go through the Ring of Honor office to get them.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, hey, you're right in there. I mean.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not.
No, I
the
got
main
you.
event guy yet.
I got you.
I'm working my way up.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned teaming with Silas Young too, who's been around forever, and what has that been like? That experience, I'd imagine, like a learning tree also.
Yeah, Silas and I actually started around the same time in the same area, and we've always wrestled each other. We've never teamed. And then in July of last year, Delirious, the booker, he's like, you know what, I'm going to put you and Silas together. I don't know why I haven't done this before. And they put us in War Machine. And we had one of the 3 top favorite matches of all time I've been a part of was against them. And it just, we clicked, and there was just something there. And now that the last year I've been with him, we've been traveling up and down the roads together, and we're always talking about wrestling. We're always talking about, hey, how can we make our matches better? How can we make them different? And we did the same with Dalton Castle and the boys, and it was just, I think that was the best angle on TV last year was Silas Young versus Dalton Castle.
Yeah. A lot of people complain that it went on too long, but I was like, I don't think it went on long enough. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, they kept reinventing it. I don't think it went long enough either. they can still get more mileage out of it.
Yep.
And Dalton's on a whole new level, and so is Silas. And he's helped me out so much since I got with Ring of Honor, and he's helped me change my style. And our tag team, I mean, we're in the tag tournament coming up next weekend in Minnesota. It's the first round is in Minnesota, and the finals are in Milwaukee. So I'm hoping that we can make it past the first round.
Yeah, bring it home.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you've been with ROH now for like a year and a half, right?
Yep.
And I mean, you fought everybody. There is the fight there. You Young Bucks. Is there anybody that you haven't fought yet there that you're looking forward to working with?
I'd really like to wrestle the Addiction, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. I'd really like to get in the ring with the Briscoe brothers again. We wrestled them in St. Louis and had a great match. And I've wrestled Chick and Mark singles. But I'd love to get back in the ring with them again. I'd love to get in the ring again with War Machine. I think they're a phenomenal tag team and have good chemistry with them. As far as tag teams, we've wrestled a lot. Like, I'd like to get back in with the Young Bucks. We've wrestled them before.
I think there was something where you guys went to a no contest.
Yeah,
what happened there?
Well, they beat us. We ended up putting the boys in there. They didn't beat us. We wrestled them, and then after they beat us up a bit, we rolled out in South. Well, this match wasn't for us anyway; it's for the boys. So the boys ended up wrestling them too. So, but I'd love to get back in the ring with them. Motor City Machine Guns. I think we can have some good matches with. So we'll see. Future. Ring of Honor's got the best tag team and the deepest tag team division in wrestling. So.
It's definitely busy. I could say that.
Yeah, you want, like you said,
like
you want
top
to see good matches. Ring of Honor's where it's at.
Yeah, that's cool. And talk a little bit about because I heard the other podcast you did. You talked about ROH TV and you compared it to the territory days like Mid South.
Yeah, ROH TV is great. I mean, it's an hour long. There's very little talking and great wrestling. And back in the day, that's what TV was. You had very little talking. In Raw right now, it's 3 hours and 2 hours of it's talking. You know what I mean?
Don't remind me. I have to go watch it in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's Ring of Honor. They do it right. They do it with they have some promos, but the majority of it's wrestling, and it's good wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The angles they got going on are great angles, just like back in the territory days.
Yeah.
They'd leave the program where you wanted to see more.
No,
I think that's what Ring of Honor TV is doing right now. They want you to see more.
What would you say to people that say that, because it's been kind of reruns for a little while and stuff that already happened and like months ago, and people kind of complain about that? What do you say to those people?
I say tune in. I mean, there's good stuff on the horizon. That the Global Wars pay-per-view, Adam Cole joined the Bullet Club, and the Bullet Club's trying to take over.
Super Kick Party!
And tune in. I mean, it's great wrestling. There's some great matches that they filmed for TV that haven't aired yet. They're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think Ring of Honor is the best wrestling on the planet. And I work for them, but even if I didn't work for them, I'd still say it. It's so fun to watch. They've had great TV for years.
Mm-hmm.
When Kevin Steen was champion, and they were doing the thing where Jim Cornette didn't want him to be on TV, but he still got on TV. Like, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
I don't really understand that, because like Jim Cornette didn't, I'm doing quotation marks you can't see, but didn't want him to be champion, but he was the champion for a year.
Yeah. and that year it was great TV.
It was.
You know what I mean? Because it was him versus, the Office guys.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like back in the Attitude Era with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon,
Yep. That's the thing too, like, about Kevin Steen. Even like back then, like he went to the beat of his own drum, and like he didn't care what anybody else said. He was gonna do his thing and be himself regardless.
Yep.
But
yeah, it works.
You teamed with him too, right? For a little while, or
yeah, I teamed with him at a couple of Bruce City shows, and then I wrestled against him too.
Nice.
He was gone though when I came into Ring of Honor, which he helped me a lot getting to Ring of Honor. He helped me get some dark matches and stuff because we wrestled each other, and he said, "Hey, this guy's a good guy." So before my tryout camp, he actually got me a couple dark matches.
Cool.
But after my tryout camp, he got signed by WWE, so he ended up doing his last couple Ring of Honor shows before I debuted.
That damn WWE, they take everybody good.
Yeah, they do. Those guys got to make their money, and God bless them.
Is that something? Is that something in the future? Ultimate goal for you?
It used to be, and I wouldn't turn down going to WWE. But I'm real happy with Ring of Honor, and I want to go to Japan, and I want to go overseas, and I want to wrestle in Mexico and stuff like that. But if I got a tryout camp and a tryout for them, and they wanted me, I'd sign. Yeah, I mean, you'd be stupid not to. That's what
exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm sure, like you love ROH obviously, but you have a lot of friends probably in WWE still too, right?
Oh yeah. I know a lot of guys out there, that I just from all the travels I've done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
go ahead.
If they offered me a contract, I'd take it.
Yeah.
But I'm still real happy with Ring of Honor right now, and
yeah.
If they don't offer, if WWE doesn't offer me a contract, it's not gonna hurt my feelings because I'm having a great time with Ring of Honor, and I'm making a living at it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't complain either if you showed up on WWE TV, but I like where you are.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. Now, a couple of the pictures I saw on Facebook also, you were at Michael Hayes for something? Do you remember that?
Yeah, he was at the Cauliflower Alley in Vegas, and he was a guest honor. And I had actually met him a couple times when I did my WWE stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was the writer for the Simon Dean segment that when Simon Dean debuted, and he took a liking to me. And he compared me to Bam Bam Gordy, Terry Gordy, which is a huge compliment for
definitely.
me. And every time I've done WWE stuff, he's gone out of his way, or we bumped into each other and we sat and talked.
Yeah.
So when he did the Cauliflower Alley thing, he actually had to leave right away. He had to accept his award, and then he had to leave right away to get someplace for WWE. And I was walking past him, and he stopped, and we actually ended up talking for a little bit. We took the picture, and
nice.
He's like, "I'll see you down the road." And then when I did the fake Bray Wyatt thing, he was part of that.
Okay.
And he's a great guy, you know.
Did you get a chance to see his Hall of Fame speech this year?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I was gonna say, what do you think about it? What you thought about it? But a lot of people.
Yeah, I loved every minute of it. I love the Freebirds. I loved everything the Freebirds did. Terry Gordy is an influence in my career. You know, I love watching his style of wrestling, and watching him get inducted was amazing.
Long overdue.
Very long overdue, yeah. And it was really cool to be in Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I think they were waiting for.
And we were in for Ring of Honor. We were in Dallas that weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my best wrestling weekends because you're surrounded by nothing but wrestling fans.
Yeah.
You know, and the shows we did were great. I had some really good matches on both shows, and it was really cool to get recognized. And like everybody that was there that weekend was a true wrestling fan.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a really cool, pure experience. And then you see the Hall of Fame and the Freebirds get inducted in Dallas was just awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple other ones I saw. I'll throw some names out there. Jake Roberts.
Yeah, I've done a couple shows with him. He came in, and I was actually out with my knee injury, but we ended up doing a segment, like a promo segment,
mm-hmm.
and then he got made like a special guest referee in the main event.
Yeah. I talked to a couple different people that work with Jake Roberts, and I always say, in my opinion, he's the best talker of all time. And I get kind of heat for that sometimes because people throw out Piper or Dusty. But I say Jake because just like his promos, the way he talked low, and he made you pay attention, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he made you turn up the volume on your TV, or you know, and he was really good with the use of his words, and I loved his promos.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the best talkers in the business, you know.
Okay. Throw a couple more names at you. Terry Funk.
Yeah, I got to know Terry. He used to come in for Harley all the time when I was down there.
Yeah,
so
of course.
We used to hang out after shows and go and get beers and stuff at the bar. And you know, he's at the CAC, and every time I bump into him, he used to. For the longest time, every time he'd come in by Harley, he'd always try to convince me to shave my head. You know, just as a joke. And you know, now it's good. Every time I bump into him, it's good seeing Terry and sharing stories and just hearing him tell stories.
Nice.
You know.
Do you have a Terry Funk impression?
No. Well, yeah, kind of. You know, hey, what's up, kid? It's good to see you again. You know, you hope you're still touring. So that's the best Terry I can do.
Nice. Yeah, everybody always has one and crazy stories about him. And every time I mention his name to somebody, the first thing to do is laugh. So you know, like, he's just one of those guys that.
Every time I met him, it's been a good time. We went to after a Harley show one time. We were at the bar and we were drinking some beer, and they had like an upper balcony area, and they had on all the tables they had. But no, it was by the bar. At the end of the table, they had a bucket for the dartboard. It had the darts in it, the plastic darts. So he ended up swiping it and bringing it to our table. And we're sitting there. And he's like, "Hey kid, you want to play a fun game?" I was like, "Sure." And we ended up throwing darts at people that were sitting up on the
balcony.
upper balcony.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Another name, Sabu. You had a match against him, didn't you?
Yeah, I wrestled Sabu 3 or 4 times.
Oh, okay.
And every match, I've always had good matches with him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see him on shows and stuff, he's like, "Oh, you know, you and me again?" I said, No. You know, he's, "Oh, we should do that again."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've always had really good matches with him. We clicked, and I learned a lot about how to tell a story, you know, with weapons through him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just don't have to go walk up and hit each other. Like, here, you should do this and build to it. So.
Yeah. And I never heard anybody say anything bad about Sabu either, or working with them, or just as a person.
Yeah, he was really always real nice to me. Really cool dude.
That's cool. One more I have, Adam Pearce, who is coach at NXT now. You did some work with him too.
Pierce, because he's originally from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He always took a liking to me because I could bump. So he's another guy that whenever he'd come through towns and stuff like that, he'd give me advice and you know, help me out. And it was funny. The last time he was in before he went to NXT, he watched. We actually tag together, and in like a 6-man. He pulled me aside. He's like, "Why did I never put Shredder on it?" I was like, "I don't know, man." You know, he's like, "Well, I'm glad you're there now." I'm like, "Yeah, I am too." You know.
Yeah. Just one of those things, your paths never crossed at the right time.
Yeah. Well, he never brought us in, but
yeah.
He's got a great mind for the business, and I'm glad that he's at NXT. He's at the right spot where he needs to be. You know, and he's a coach there, and you know, he knows he's a good dude, and he knows the business, and he's the right guy to be teaching guys.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good segue into you being a trainer. You mentioned one of your trainees I heard you talk about before, Stacy Shadows.
Yep, she was. She kind of came to me. Like, I met her. I got back from Harley's, and she was training up north and getting ready for one of her first matches. And somebody introduced me to her and says, "Hey, if you ever want to learn anything, you know, talk to Matt." And we exchanged numbers, and she'd always ask me questions. And I think she's probably the best female worker right now. She would always, you know, go on road trips with me and sit in the car and ask questions. And whenever we did travels places and stuff like that, she'd always, you know, "Hey, watch my match, help me out, you know. Hey, here's my match. Do you think there's anything I can tweak with it?" And, you know, she's, like I said, she is the best female worker, women's wrestler in the business today. And I'll stand by my word. And it's a shame that she's not with any major company yet, you know. She's so good. So good.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that something you see, like, when years down the road, when everything's done in the ring for you, being a trainer full time?
Yeah.
I mean, you almost kind of are now, but.
Yeah. Oh, I can see me being a full-time trainer. I love doing it. The split we have now, I love teaching the kids. You know, we have a good group of students, and I love teaching. You know, when I was going to college, I was actually going to college as an education major, so I wanted to be a teacher. And once my body quits, you know, and says it's time to give it up, yeah, I will for sure become a full-time wrestling trainer.
Okay.
You know, I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. It keeps you involved in the business too. You're always around it still.
Yeah, exactly. Keeps my mind sharp.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about the Bray Wyatt stuff. Making the PWI 500 last year.
Yeah, that was actually unexpected. I've never made it before, and I actually didn't know I made it. I actually got a tweet from a friend saying congratulations, and I was like, "Well, congratulations on what?" "Oh, hey, look, I'm ranked." So my wife and I actually went out to go look for it. We couldn't find the magazine anywhere. And she actually had to order it offline because we couldn't find them anywhere around the house.
Wow.
So we actually have, you know, it came in and stuff. I had part of my memorabilia collection, you know, it's the first time.
Yeah, the big deal, like first time making it, and
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to see my name in print, you know. And I've always read the list. I just never been on it, so I was very honored to be on it this year.
Right? Yeah, it's cool. Okay. If you had to pick anybody, dead or alive, for a dream opponent.
It'd be Bruiser Brody, for sure. Bar none.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was an easy one.
Bruiser Brody or Terry Gordy. Either one of those guys. Bar none.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the end all for me.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been a dream of mine to wrestle one of those two.
I was gonna say styles make matchups. That's the term, and you and Bruiser Brody would be like almost a mirror, kinda.
Yeah, it would be so fun.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and winding down here, we're almost at an hour. I want to thank you, appreciate you for coming on and taking this time out. You made it really easy conversation.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. You know, it's fun.
Real quick before we wrap up though, I just wanted to touch on some of your interests outside of wrestling. You're like a comic book fan.
Big comic book fan.
Yes.
I love Daredevil. He's my favorite, and the Punisher. So I was so happy when they came out with the Netflix series for them. And I've been reading comics my whole life. I think comics are amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see the Deadpool movie? I take it.
Yeah, I loved it. Loved
Yeah.
every minute. I see all the movies when they come out. You know, I'm that comic book nerd. I've gone to Comic-Con. My wife and I went to Comic-Con New Orleans, and I got Stan Lee's autograph, which was awesome.
Oh wow!
And Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger, got his autograph in a picture. So
Nice. And you said comic book nerd, but that's not really a term anymore because if you don't follow that stuff, you're kind of the nerd now.
Yeah. It's funny when I was a kid, you always had to hide that you're a
Right.
comic book fan or a wrestling fan, and now like it's not so taboo. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I read comics, I watch wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing too, you're a big music lover.
Yep. Music helps me through everything. One of my favorite bands is Tool. And anytime you need to do cardio, put in a Tool CD and you'll get through cardio for sure because their music's just so good.
Wait, now the kids listening say he said CD. What's a CD?
Yeah, exactly. MP3 player. Download the MP3.
Yeah. That's funny. Different generations, but
yeah, my kids always look at me funny because I try to be hip with them, and I'm not. I'm not at all.
Not even MP3 now is kind of like a thing falling away. Everything's streaming now.
Yeah, that's right. We're making that transition to streaming because of Hulu and Netflix and all that.
Crazy. Okay, buddy. Where are you at on social media?
You can find me on Twitter. It's at BCB Winchester. You can find me on Facebook. It's either Matt Winchester or go to my fan page, which is Beer City Bruiser. Those are the two things I mainly have. Check out ROHWrestling.com. They post up matches and stuff there. Otherwise, BruiserCityWrestling1.com.
All right, sounds good. Again, thank you.
Oh, and go buy my T-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com /BeerCityBruiser. I got 3 tees designs up there. There's more to be coming.
There
so
it is.
Go buy T-shirts so I can buy beer.
Keep it going, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, buddy. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that was my conversation with the Beer City Bruiser, Matt Winchester. Make sure you guys go check him out on ROH. There's a million ways to watch ROH. If you don't know how to watch ROH, you're just being lazy. Go on the internet. You could find it anywhere. It's on TV now. So, no excuse not to check out Matt Winchester. I want to thank him once again for being on. That was a really easy conversation, I told him. So, I'll get out here on my plugs. Facebook group page, Electric City Wrestling Fans, and most importantly, iTunes, Electric City Wrestling Fans Podcast. Please subscribe, like, rate, review. All the traffic that gets over there looks better on me, helps me out more. I really appreciate it. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Just